Hi, Beta. Welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again. So excited to be here again with you. Yeah.
I'm so excited to have you here. You had a beautiful sharing just a couple of weeks ago, and maybe some people have listened to that episode, but for those that haven't, maybe you want to start introducing yourself and who you are and the things that you're doing right now.
Okay. My name is Beta Lisboa. I come from Brazil. I've been living in Asia for the last 20 years, in between India, Bali, Thailand. I'm the creator of a yoga system based on fascia, dynamic spiral in fascial yoga. I'm writing a book on that theme. And I work with women. I entered menopause since about 3 years ago. Yeah. And my life changed. I also come from trauma background. I'm a trauma therapist, right? And since I'm from very young age, a little child, I've been dealing with a lot of home violence and a lot of trauma in my body. So I decided to heal in my own journey, healing my own trauma. I understood that I would like to share more with people and women who went to this similar situations as me, as myself. And here I am, sharing my gifts and helping women to transform and to shine and to find their bodies again, to find their gifts, to be back to who they are.
Yeah, so beautiful. You have so many personal experiences and also so much different trainings and things like that you've done, and which translates into the courses and everything that you're offering online, which I've also taken part of, the beautiful course in the trauma and mindfulness based yoga, which has been so helpful for me as a teacher and also as an individual. So I think it's really going to be interesting to listen to your journey now entering this magical phase. I mean, we have these, I think it's not diverse as it can be, but if we see the 3 phases of our womanhood, and we can always be in the different phases. It's not that they end and begin, right? It's a cycle, but really like the physical embodiment of the wise woman and taking all of these experiences and creating energy from that is going to be so interesting. So maybe you want to start sharing how your journey was into this phase of your life.
Okay, yeah, it was, it happened very naturally. From one day to another, I just stopped the bleeding when I was still trying to get pregnant at the age of 44, halfway through my 44. I thought I could still get pregnant naturally, and then I discovered that I couldn't for my past situations with my tubes, my fallopian tube. And then I was going to the gynecologist just to understand what it could be done. My husband and me, we said, okay, it's the age of 44, but a 44 years old woman nowadays is at 34. I felt so young. I felt so strong and in my body. I also have a body that I have been practicing yoga for more than 30 years. So then I think the cultivation of that energy makes a big difference to come to that age and still be so strong, right? Yeah. And when I was going to start a treatment to make an IVF, I stopped the bleeding. So in that moment, my interest to become pregnant and to have kids completely changed. It was from 1 minute to another. So I said, okay, now something else is going to take place, and it's going to require me to be full in that phase and live it, nah? This beautiful time, which is the perimenopause, introducing to us to become this wise woman. And so in the time that I was still, for the first 6 months, that I didn't have any symptoms. I mean, I lived in the tropics always, and about being sweaty and be hot, it was very common for me because of the weather. So I didn't feel much difference if I was having hot flashes or night sweats. So my first 6 months was pretty soft and gentle. Yeah, it didn't come to me in a strong way. I just stopped the bleeding. And I was still very connected to my moon through the moon phases. So I was very connected to my inner seasons. And I knew the importance of stay connected to the inner seasons to thrive that period of my life better, right? And I could even feel like the tenderness of my breast and how I would feel cramps, and the time that I was supposed to be just before being bleeding. And it's really, I still feel most of the symptoms. It's really interesting. But in that time was very clear to me that the cycle doesn't really stop. And that blood, that instead of we lose every month, the blood is converted in energy that raises, spirals up and raise up in order for us to become more wise, to claim our wisdom, right? Yeah.
Wow. This, how you explained it now is so beautiful. Like you said, like we're used to like having this downward flow and connecting down, and then how that transmits and becomes like an energy that moves up, which also shows what a balance we will have in life, like the yin and yang, right? The more earthy and the more, that's really beautiful. So
Exactly.
so
Exactly.
what was, because I'm thinking about that, it's really interesting that you had the same sensations of your own cycle already, and that you almost like, yeah, the only thing was the blood missing, right? So it's like still going through those 4 phases. That's also interesting maybe to touch upon. Maybe everyone doesn't know the 4 phases of the menstrual cycle, like really what it means energetically and
Yeah,
physically.
we have our inner winter. It's when we draw in, and it's during the menstrual phase, right? It's the time that we call the red tent time, when we really take time for ourselves and to hibernate. It's like the goddess that goes to the red tent and hibernate, and it's the yummy time to be on your own, reading books and drinking tea, and maybe have your girlfriends coming and massaging you, and it's being pumped. And it's for everybody's different. Some women feel like they have a very big need to be on their own. Some women, it's more open to receive love and support from the other sisters. And then after that, it comes the inner spring, when the body is again preparing to be out there, right? It's like the bloom, and yeah, it's the beautiful spring, like what happens in the spring, that the flowers start opening up, and that we come from the cave, we come out of the red tent, and we start also opening up for new possibilities for the wood, and the mind starts functioning again, and we become more creative. Creative, I mean, not really, honestly. I feel my creativity, I'm much more connected to my creativity actually in that time that I bring my awareness within, and then it's more expressing that creativity, right? Yeah. And then it comes the inner summer, which the full moon is the time to go out there, and we have all that energy to procreate, right? To go to feel beautiful and to really to procreate is when we meet our partners, and then we have the autumn. Yeah, summer is no, I made a mistake here. So is the summer, is the autumn, right? Yeah, the summer, the autumn, oh, the spring, the summer, the spring, the summer. Okay, the spring, the summer, the autumn, and the winter. Yes, yes, yeah. And in that autumn is just before the winter. It's when the body is preparing again to menstruate. Would be that PMS time, nah? When the body is preparing for menstruate again, which is the inner winter. So yeah, it's all the qualities and all the characteristics of what is going outside in the weather, what is going relates in relationship to the moon, we feel in our bodies as women, regardless.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And also, like you said, the phases of the moon we can work with. Like you said, it's so apparent what happens in the 4 weeks of a full moon phase, like the going from this darkness, dark moon, into a quarter moon, and then from that into a full moon, and then like the waning and waxing periods. It's really, I feel that very strongly. The more we connect with our cycles and the nature cycles and the moon cycles, we start becoming so aware of where we are in our own phase, that we don't think that it's strange if we have different energy levels and different, like just feeling different, thinking different, like different thoughts, right?
Completely.
Yeah, and being in
Do you
acceptance.
feel sometimes like your head is empty?
Yeah.
It's like very foggy, very empty,
Yeah.
just before you go into menstruation, right? The body is all the energy is down, is moving, it's preparing for that hibernation, which we don't need much of our brain.
Yeah.
And then coming out of that winter into spring, and you think again, and then it's all the creativity, and the brain starts working again. Right?
Yeah, and I love like thinking about that, like the fall or autumn, it really represents like a release and to start going within, and then really in the winter this because the winter, it's funny, it has two significance, right? Because now, like for example, here we see that since it's snow and cold, everything has died, but it's actually not gone. It's like there, but it's like latent. And then that in that phase, it's also like a rebirth, because we have the sun being reborn. So it's like it's a death and rebirth cycle in one way, right?
When our intuition is really, really awake, right? Is death, rebirth, is the witch time. It's when the intuition is awake. It's when we really can use a lot of trust in our intuition.
Exactly.
magic.
Mm,
And yeah,
it
yeah, I love them.
is. And we did just have, like, when we have these powerful new moons and full moons, we can even feel it. Everyone can feel it. And even if we're not synced exactly to like lunar cycle, it still like represents so much. So I like the fact that you can, if you know where you are in your cycle, no matter if it's the bleeding cycle or if you don't bleed anymore, just know that, okay, when I'm in my summer, for example, how can I embody that element and that season in myself? What does it mean? Like, just coming back that we are, it's almost like we think that we are on the nature on earth, but we're not really part of it because we feel like we have segregated from it. But we
Yeah.
are always connected. We have this umbilical cord to everything. So it just seems like we're not part of it. But our cells, we can see them individually, but they are part of the body, like it's an integrated system. So we are also so much a part of it that we are the nature. So of course we can connect and embody nature in ourselves.
And especially with the moon, it's not by accident that we say we have our moon, right?
Yeah,
We have our
exactly.
moon cycles.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are very directed, connected to the moon and to the moon cycle, to the waters in our bodies, how much the moon influences the waters in life, in the
Yeah.
planet, in the inner waters, in the outer waters. We can see the tides and the rivers. What happens? Our bodies are not in a full moon, how much our bodies blow. For,
Yeah,
for me, it
exactly.
was very clear, like when it's a full moon, there is more bloated in my body. The pools the water, there is more water retention and there is more, right? And then
Yeah.
as soon as the moon starts to waxing, winning, and then you can see the water just drawing again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so beautiful. And I would like to know, like, in your experience, when entering the phase of, let's say, perimenopause and menopause, like, what are common signs and symptoms, and how can we work with that? Because it can be very like the same with when we're menstruating. It can be magical if we work with it, are conscious about it.
Mm,
How have you, what have you learned on your journey?
yeah. Basically, I came from a burnout when I entered my menopause, and I think one of the factors that I got into menopause and at the age of 44, considered kind of early, was because my adrenals was quite compromised. Nah. So that I was already feeling very tired during this period with, my energy levels start dropping. And of course, because of the estrogen and progesterone levels that is always going up and down, it's very unstable. What was very clear to me is that my energy levels really dropped. My thinking, I start like, what is going on? That I'm very foggy now, and I start not remembering things. And that was the first sign to say, oh, wait a moment, what is going on here? And in the beginning, without knowing what was happening, because I didn't have an education before getting into menopause. That was all my discovery and really saying, okay, I'm not going to go into hormonal replacement. That's going to be my journey and my self-discovery. And what do I need? What his body needs? And I start really looking for holistic, natural medicine, herbs, and understanding more than anything what was going on is what helped the healing, helped me to accept what's going on. Because, for example, in our society, we are prepared, we are raised to think a lot, to be proactive, to be always doing, and right, and use a lot from the rational brain. And I do understand why the mind becomes kind of, um, it's kind of, my mind is not the first thing anymore that I trust. So as the mind, I could not trust in the mind anymore. I had to trust in my intuition. So it was a very beautiful time that I could connect with my intuition more than ever. So which through my intuition, I connected to my wisdom, right? But I see a lot of women, my clients, or my friends, they come and they say, whoa, we become kind of stupid for the first 3 years and our brain doesn't function and I forget things. And yeah, if you hold on it, that's how you're going to feel. But, and I was still teaching and I still had to use a lot of my brain, but it was beautiful because when words was not coming, like I just made a mess talking to you about the seasons and things like that is very common, you know. Instead of getting self-conscious and trying to push of my brain, I would just really breathe into that space of intuition and wisdom, which would be, yeah, it's okay. There is a reason for that, the mind, that full brain, to give space now for something else to birth, which is really being connected to our intuition as a woman. Uh, and and then the hot flashes started, stronger and stronger, and the night sweats. I would go to bed and lying down and having to change bed sheets in the middle of the night because my body was like releasing water, releasing sweats from all over. It was really intense. I had a period of time where those symptoms was quite strong. And again, I started researching all the herbs that I could, understood a lot that the herbs can be the healing, and they were. So when I would use a certain combination of herbs, and that after 2-3 months they stopped working, and then I would change for another combination of herbs, or sometimes even one that would like something like Vitex, raspberry leaves. Yeah, they are excellent to reduce the symptoms of hot flashes. But what sometimes women they don't understand is that after certain period, the herbs stop working, and we need to change the herbs. And it's like it's a journey. It's a journey that takes us within to know, and like it's a full investigation. I didn't give my power to anybody. And that is also very important to know there is an opportunity to empower yourself, to take your sovereignty and say, I'll heal, I'll heal those symptoms, because menopause is not a disease. So there is no reason to think I'm gonna heal myself. But what we heal, what we reduce are the symptoms of the menopause, right? And it's also good, important to understand that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. And like you said, it's just about finding a balance. And from Chinese medicine perspective, it's like so personal and so individual. What is our constitution from the beginning? How is it now? We have different like levels of energy. We have different things that need to balance. So it's really a personal thing. So I like the more like you said, like the tailored and more individual road, and to also have just the intention to work with it, like you said, the knowledge and the awareness and the intention, then that helps, because that's usually the case with everything else that we're balancing and healing.
Yeah.
And
And
yeah,
thank you for mentioning Chinese medicine. Chinese
yeah,
medicine has been one of my big tools throughout this journey. When the symptoms start getting a little bit stronger because the symptoms, they change as well, right? From hot flashes, not sweats, and brain fogginess, forgetting and not remembering things, to feeling very tired and start feeling a little depressed, and things that I never felt in my life, feeling like the mood swings and little depression, and also dryness, vaginal dryness, and dryness in the yoni, and a little bit, I came towards getting a little bit of the atrophy. It didn't get there, but was already starting the process of feeling pain inside the vagina in the intercourse. So the Chinese medicine was a big, 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 big healing for me. Just going and understand which organ, what was happening to my kidneys, what was happening to the adrenals, and the fire of the heart, and of the yin and yang qualities, right? And Chinese herbs, some needles one time a week, all the juice came back and all my fluids came back. So it took literally a week for the symptoms of the dryness and I would not say pain, but discomfort to disappear. So Chinese medicine is a big one to help in that journey for sure.
Mm. Wow, that's really fast, like a fast result that you got, and being so rare. Is there any other practices that have been important for you, like daily or weekly, that has been helping you? Because you have so many tools and so much in your like toolbox with all of the years you've been practicing. What have been important for you?
I would say that definitely lifestyle. Yeah. I think the reason, as you said, well, 1 week for your body already been responding to herbs and needles, right? I think my body is very used to Chinese medicine since many years. More your body is familiar to eat, the response is faster, right? It's not everyone going to respond to the same and or the same length of time to the same therapies, but definitely I would say to any woman who is listening to this podcast right now, cultivate health, cultivate a health mind, a health body, and health of emotions. And I think for being a mindfulness practitioner, for being a yoga practitioner, for all us, cultivate a lot of conscious diet, health diet since the very young age. It did for sure helped me in thrive this period right now. Not that the symptoms, they didn't arise to me for me, but I feel it has been a cultivation of these three aspects in my life. Yeah. And of course, now more than ever, I know I need more than any time in the past to do my yoga practice, to keep my mind clear. I stay away from alcohol, from spicy food. I mean, anything that is processed in my diet, a caffeine, right? Because those are very big aggravants of the symptoms. And yeah, it's really like be tuning in. If I drink a coffee, what happens to my system, right? Even I'm not against anything. I'm the person who I'm open. I feel in life we have a space for everything, and consciously we can play, we can do. Life is too short, but at the same time, I see if I drink even a glass of wine in the evening, it may relax myself in the moment, but and then boom, in the middle of the night, there is more heat in the body. So it's a choice. Do I choose to feel more the symptoms or not? So I would say it is definitely lifestyle, and mainly diet is a very important one. Exercising is a very important one. I started going back to the gym after so many years. No, because also we have to understand about the muscle, the muscles, we start losing the muscle mass and the bones, right? The bones density. So we are working here and losing calcium. And so I play in between my diet and exercising, doing yoga, meditating, keep the mind positive, making sure also I have an active sexual life. Because one thing that happened to me and was very, in the beginning, I was not understanding, but after I processed it, was the most beautiful realization. At some point, there is a loss of libido. It may not happen for every woman, but researchers say 80% of women, they will have the at least lower interest in sex. Yeah, there is less libido. And I went through this phase and was really interesting, because again, it was my body saying in that moment, this is not your priority. It's like when in these 4 phases of the menstrual cycle, that the body retreats and there is less desire to have sex, right? It's exactly perfect why the body is saying no to sex. So yeah, that was very interesting to go through that process, and then with herbs and treatments, getting my libido back. And now, at that point, after 3 years, knowing that having an active sexual life is very important in order to keep the walls of the vagina, to keep everything healthy. Nah? Because it's one very, very common symptom in menopause is vaginal atrophy.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah, and it's
So
big.
much. Yeah, this is like so many components to it's, so many parts of it, and so little that we learn. I mean, you've done so much investigation yourself. It's not someone that has been actively communicating. It's just like the cycles, like no one ever taught us about the different parts of the cycle. So I think this is so valuable. And what are you offering for people who are wanting to work with this right now, and to get into that deep wisdom and balancing the body?
In terms of my work, you mean, when I
Yeah,
do a conference?
yeah, if the consultancies, or if you do any classes or anything around this.
Yeah, at the moment, I'm offering a one-on-one consultation. Yeah, and I can guide a woman to just thrive, to just take that period with to honor that time in their lives. And then as the symptoms arises, and we work with an assessment, so we understand in which phase of each symptom they are, right? And is one by one, I work with diet, I work with herbs, I give if they want to buy, if they want to go with me in a full journey, they take yoga for menopause with me, and meditation, mindfulness. Yeah, it's different packages, but the whole journey would be a support and a change of lifestyle and acceptance of and embracing it, of this beautiful, most amazing, beautiful phase in life. Yeah. And Yeah, I was going to say something.
That was amazing. And I will be sharing the links for people to find you again if they want to work with this. I think this is so valuable and beautiful and so much more to be shared, I think, because there's not that much out there. So I really recommend everyone to check out your website and everything that you're offering. And I want to thank you so much for being here again. And I'm sure that we will take this topic and talk more into detail about things in the upcoming episodes, because it's such a huge topic to share and
Yeah,
talk about.
totally. And yeah, women needs the same way that I felt so unsupported in that process.
Mm,
I know so many other sisters are feeling the same, and yeah, it's good to
mm,
have the conversation, and also knowing that we are here for each other. Yeah.
mm. Yeah,
And just one last point, that
yeah.
I'm not a gynecologist. I don't prescribe hormones.
Mm,
I don't read hormonal tests, but I also work with a natural gynecologist that in case, because some cases will be more um, important to have hormonal control, and then our team works together. And yeah, knowing as well when to recognize that you need to go to a doctor, right?
that's so beautiful. Perfect combination and so valuable. And yeah, this was amazing to listen to you today, as usual. I think it was so much knowledge that I haven't got yet. So it's very beautiful, and I hope that the listeners also got so much insights now, and maybe want to work with you on this, because it's so important, a big phase of a woman's life. So I really want to thank you again for being here and sharing and taking your time. So thank you so much, Beta. Mm.
Thank you too for having me here. It's such a pleasure, and I love talking about that topic. Yeah,
Mm.
thank you.
Thank you.